Hello everyone, this is Janet Peppeh with the Socialite Production, where we are connecting the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. I am excited today because I have three amazing Liberian Influentials that I'm going to introduce in a second. But I want to talk about first why we're here. And so we're here to talk about Peppeh Dem Summer. We have done a lot over the summer. And when I say we, I'm referring to the Liberian community, right? And the whole theme of all of the activities and all of the celebrations and accomplishments was Peppeh Dem. We're going to talk about Peppeh Dem Summer. We're going to go into what exactly that means. But first, I wanted to just give you guys a little preview of what's to come. But before we go into everything, I do want to pause real quick to say a quick prayer to cover this conversation and cover those that are listening. So Father God, we just thank you for this opportunity to stand before whomever is going to watch this, to speak about purpose, to speak about the Liberian community, to speak about what our goal and our plan is as a community. Now, as I say in all of my conversations, let everyone hear and see you over the individual that's talking. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. So, before we get into the topics, I do want to fully, and I'm saying fully because these are three dynamic, important individuals, leaders, world changers that are sitting here. And I'm not trying to hype them up, but I'm serious. So I don't want to brush over the intro because I want you guys to know who they are for those who do not. And so the questions that I want you guys to answer are, who are you, where you're from, and what you do professionally or what you aspire to do, right? And so I'm going to start with Miss Sia Jones, aka Palm Butter. Before I let her speak, do y'all know what palm butter is? For those who don't know what palm butter is, it's one of the cream of the crop Liberian foods, right? When you eat it, it just makes you, like you make a face, right? Look at her. Do you not make a face when you see her? Yes. This is palm butter. Okay. So I'll let her introduce herself. Go ahead, Sia.
Hello, everyone. As John has said, my name is Miss Sia Jones. Some people know me as Palm Butter. And those that are watching that don't know what palm butter is, it is a Liberian, a sweet Liberian meal. And I go by that on social media. I am currently in Charlotte. My vision for just my Liberian community is to be a positive role model, especially for our youth in the community, to be someone who educate people about Liberia, to be an inspiration to my peers, to be an inspiration to my fellow Liberians, to highlight our Liberian culture because, as small as Liberia is, we have such an amazing culture. Our food, our fashion, the people. Yes. But of course, you will hear more about that.
Yeah. And real quick too, and I'm sure they know now, but where are you from?
I am from Liberia.
What part of Liberia?
Okay, so I grew up in Monrovia, Liberia. That's the city in Liberia. But specifically for Looking Town, Brush.
Yes, rep your set.
You already know.
Great, thank you so much for that, Sia. Well, next we're going to go to Jamal Stewart, aka Gentleman Brand. Peppeh Dem Summer. Do you not see the flames coming from him? That's fire. Jamal, tell the people who you are.
Such an introduction. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Janet. As she said, my name is Jamal Alfonso Stewart. My brand is Gentleman Brand. Basically, I curate styles and images for people. A lot of times, businesses want to expand the vision of what they're able to do, and that's where I come in. I'm able to put the manpower behind creative direction for a lot of businesses. Here recently, I had the pleasure of working with two Liberian organizations, the Liberian Association of Charlotte and as well as Annie T. Doe, and I was able to manage a lot of their content on social media and bring a presence to what we're doing here in Charlotte, and shining a light on our Liberian people. So that's basically what I do. And it's a pleasure to be here with you, Miss Janet.
And where are you from?
So I am from Charlotte by way of my Jamaican father and my Liberian dad. I mean, my Liberian mother, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay, so I think it's important for us to call out those details because we have a variety of representation of Liberians. And so last but not least, we have Mr. Walla Richardson Jr., AKA Mr. Gonorich, AKA Mr. Cool Smooth is what I call him. Like, you can be walking, everybody's sweating, he's just sitting there dry, just chilling. But anyway, I'm just trying to listen him up because he's real chill. But Walla, let the people know who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you, Janet, for such a unique platform.
You're welcome.
My name is Walla Richardson Jr., and I'm a Liberian boy, born and raised. I was born in Congo Town, Monrovia, Liberia, and I'm a Catholic by faith. So I went to Catholic school, Cathedral school, respectively, where I was engaged into several youth programs, and I work with several international partners, you know, in bringing up young people in a way that is positive. You know, we had this program called From Street to School. It was with a German organization. And then we had a pen power program, the German Liberia pen power program, which, you know, I was a part of. And moved to the US to join the rest of my family, my dad and everyone. And, you know, I love my people, so I'm involved into anything Liberian.
Yes.
My name on social media is Gonorich because I'm a passionate person. I love sports and I love my club Arsenal. You know, it's dear to my heart.
Yes.
So that's how that name, you know, come up, Gonorich, because the nickname for Arsenal is the Gunners.
Yes.
So that's how I named myself that. But
I love it.
Yeah, that's me right there.
Yeah, you covered all the bases. You did a good job. As I mentioned, my name is Janet Peppeh. I am the creator of a socialite production. Our mission is to connect the world through faith, culture, and entertainment. We do that by way of authentic storytelling. As far as me, I'm a lover of Christ. I rep my set Jesus Christ all day. I am a connector. I am a bridge. I'm a first-generation Liberian American, and so the platform primarily started with me telling my story as a first-generation Liberian American, but it gives room for others to stand on to tell their stories, American and Liberian. But in this season, God has me just covering the Liberian story, because we don't tell our story enough and you don't hear enough about our story. And so today we're going to be doing a lot of storytelling about Liberia, a very unique culture that I think is important for everyone to be aware of or find out more about. So today we're going to be doing storytelling around Peppeh Dem Summer. Peppeh is pepper, but of course with the colloquial you say Peppeh, and I'm not even saying it the real way. They will pronounce it how it's supposed to sound. But the theme of Peppeh Dem Summer, we all are going to provide our perspective on what that means because it varies. But primarily it's to bring awareness to the culture. And so when you add pepper to something, you're adding spice, right? You want that, you want the meal to be felt. You want to leave a lasting impression. It's kind of like, so to speak, shining the light on something. So when you pepper them, you bring in the heat. You're motivating, you're empowering, you're celebrating, you're uplifting. We're showcasing our excellence and unity.
Yes.
And so Peppeh Dem is not only for an individual, but it's collective. It just depends on how things are moving. Peppeh Dem, who is them? Them is everyone who sees us, even us ourselves. Peppeh Dem, pepper everybody's eyes who are looking at the community or the individuals. And so with Peppeh Dem Summer, it was branded around July 26th. And so I'm sure it's not a new term. I'm sure other African cultures or whomever may use it, but it started the brand for our community locally here in Charlotte, North Carolina last year during July 26th. The Liberian Association had a publicity team, what was it, the Liberian Publicity Committee, for short, LPC. That term started and it brought a lot of attention and excitement And the thing what I liked about it is they didn't do too much explaining about what it meant. They showed us, they didn't tell us. And so we're gonna park there to kind of break apart Peppeh Dem Summer, right? And it's Peppeh Dem anything, but summer is because of the July 26th Liberian Independence holiday. But with Liberians, we do the most. We take over the whole month, right?
Yes.
And so with this conversation, we're going to start with Sia and Jamal because both of them formally represent the LPC committee, and then we'll go to Walla. But we'll first start with Sia. Miss Peppeh Dem herself. I'll leave you alone. I'm gonna try. But talk about Peppeh Dem Summer. Talk about the inception. Let's talk about whatever you want to cover as it relates to that.
Yeah. So for me, Peppeh Dem.
Yeah.
What that means for me as a Liberian, it's we all know July 26th is our Independence Day, but that month of July, this is when we are proudly Liberian.
Yes.
We come together as a community. We bring positivity. We educate people who knows nothing about Liberians. We highlight our food. Mm-hmm. We drink. We enjoy. We enjoy to celebrate, you know. And for me, last year being on LPC and this year, this was just a time like a reunion because during July 26th, during our independence, you see people that you haven't seen in a long time. You get to meet people. You get to meet new friends, right? You get to connect with people. Me, I love my African outfit, as you see.
Absolutely.
You know, I love proudly representing Liberia.
Yes.
So for last year, this year, or moving forward, this is just a time for me to be as loud, right? Not in an ignorant way, as loud as I can be, in a positive way that I can be Liberian.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we did not disappoint this year. We
did not.
Moving forward, we will continue not to disappoint.
Right. And one key thing she forgot to mention is we dance. Especially her. Yes. Thank you for that. That was a good recap. Hopefully you didn't take anything anybody else has to say, but everybody has their own perspective. Yes. And so Jamal, I don't know if you were the one who termed that brand or not, that term, but regardless, I know you use it in a unique way. What is Peppeh Dem Summer?
I appreciate it.
Actually, can we pause real quick? I have to add, I need to step back a little. Sorry, real quick.
No problem.
So, in addition to Peppeh Dem Summer, I want you to come from this angle.
Okay.
And I hope I have your quote right, but tell a new narrative of Liberian excellence. A narrative that's inclusive of us all.
Yes.
From the standpoint of Peppeh Dem Summer and telling a new narrative, Jamal Alfonso Stewart.
All right. So I guess I should shine light on basically the timeline of how Peppeh Dem Summer came to be what it is this year.
Okay.
So as we kind of have covered the bases, we had the lovely pleasure of working alongside someone you're very close to, your baby sister Tanya, who was former manager of the LPC.
Let's give her a hand. She's in the room.
I like to give people the roses, you know?
Absolutely.
But during that summer, the song Peppeh Dem.
That's right. I forgot.
Peppeh Dem.
Yeah.
I think the song is called Bolani.
Yes.
But we in our Liberian culture, when we say, oh yeah, we will Peppeh Dem, that means like we're coming hard, you understand? Like we're gonna give them something that they haven't seen before.
Right.
Like, we're about to make this very intense. So the summer prior, our community was affected by the pandemic. And we came together for the mission to, celebrate our culture like we never had before, based on the point that we as a people, we faced a lot of trauma during that summer and just the pandemic altogether. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to bridge the gap with the elders and the rock stars and legends of whatever. We call different people different subcategories within our community. But we wanted to come together with a collective effort. And that's where Peppeh Dem kind of came from. Henceforward to 2022, and we already had the wheel running, so we said, let's keep on going with Peppeh Dem Summer. And we wanted to intensify the slogan that you just said, a new narrative that was inclusive of all Liberians. At the end of the day, our purpose, all of us that's sitting here right now, we want to create a platform where we as Liberians are being seen and seen at a level of excellence. So that's the mindset behind Peppeh Dem Summer.
Got you.
Yes.
That was a good history lesson. Thank you for that, Jamal. You and Sia, y'all did a good job covering everything. Well, I hope you have something left. But from your perspective, coming into this role, so what role did you play this year for LIBAC?
I was actually the planning committee chairman.
Yes. So he took, and again, I know I love hyping people up because that's just what I do, but it's not just about hyping them up. He came in this role and he sprinted with it.
Yes,
he exercised patience, he exercised wisdom, he was humble. But what's really nice about Awala that I like is he represented both generations. Like, he had good rapport on both ends. And hopefully I'm not saying what he's going to say, but I just wanted to add that personal touch, that we appreciated everything that you did. Because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I think we didn't give him a round of applause. Seriously. So as it relates to Peppeh Dem and the new narrative of excellence and all of those things, talk about just your role in the leadership role, being the chair for the planning committee, and the concept of Peppeh Dem Summer and new narrative and all of that. What was your thoughts on that, and how did you consider that as you moved?
Thank you, Janet. I think pretty much you guys cover up everything about the Peppeh Dem Summer, and I must admit, when I heard the name Peppeh Dem, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Right away, like on the spot when Jamal, he said it. The reason being, when you create or organize, events like the one we organize, you want to create a team that will resonate with the vast majority of the people. And permit me to dive a little bit into history.
Yeah.
Liberia was founded between 1821 and 1822, and the first guy who invaded our territory, the discoverer, was called Peppeh Dem Summer. And when Peppeh Dem Summer went there, the place at the time was called the Green Coast, for which they called the Malaguada pepper. That was the first name of Liberia, present-day Liberia. So pepper has got a long time affiliation with Liberian culture and stuff like that. I mean, it's everything we do pretty much. From our foods and everything, we grow pepper. I mean, it involves pepper, So when I heard that name, I was like, yes, this is a good name. I think it resonates. It comes from all the way, back. But what's very important is, during the summer it's hot over here, and then you come up with pepper. It's hot by itself. In the American culture, to say, when something is good, it's gonna say, "Oh yeah, that's fire."
Fire, yeah.
Right? So in the Liberian culture, we said that's cayenne pepper. I think that name was just the right name for the right occasion.
It really was.
Yeah, it was a good thing.
It definitely brought a lot of hype. So I'm just. They're already blowing me away, and we're still kind of in the intro, right? So thank you guys for all of that. That was perfect. So we're gonna get a little bit further into the conversation, but I wanna just take a trip down memory lane. And again, Socialite Production, I'm a first generation Liberian American, so my storytelling is from the lens of growing up in a Liberian community here in Charlotte. When you talk about Peppeh Dem Summers, we've been doing Peppeh Dem Summers since we were babies, right? We just didn't have social media to capture that footage. And so as every time of July 26th comes around, I just get so excited as I think about all of the activities. And then we always reminisce, right? From the Sugar Creek Park days to the Father King Church days to just whatever that we would normally do in the community to gather. Very unified, very supportive. Yeah, you know, we're not perfect. We have our little whatever, but when it's time to come together, we come together. So the word that I always use when it comes to Liberians in Liberia is unity. And I know some people may think, yeah, unity, unity. And so going through the summer, fast forward to, of course, this past summer, so many activities were going on. I really don't know how we did it. This is in addition to July 26th. So just to kind of do a little quick recap for those who are watching who probably were a part of it, we kicked off the festivities with BY, who's our resident DJ, house DJ. Yes, celebrating. That's many, but we kicked it off with his birthday celebration, and his name is DJ Beezy. His name is BY. That's his DJ name, but he had the most epic birthday celebration, right? So we started that, and then from there were literally 3 weddings back to back. These weddings weren't just weddings. They were experiences. Like, I'm not gonna call the names, but y'all know who y'all are. Y'all really made the summer pepper. From there, we went into the July 4th weekend, in which, of course, that's America's, you know, birthday and holiday, but Liberians always celebrate by way of soccer tournament. And so the Charlotte soccer family had their tournament, in which we're gonna go through all these activities one by one, but it was amazing. From there, the next weekend, Golden Media, which is ran by Liberians, it's an awesome entertainment company. They brought us Kiss Daniel. Mind you, I wasn't even here for the show, but I felt like I was at the show because everybody was just talking about it. We'll get more into that, but what they did is they not only unified the Liberian community, they unified the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, the Congolese, everybody went to that show. And I was out of town, I missed it. I'm still mad, but anyway. And then, okay, from there, let me calm down. From there, we went into the celebrations for LABAC, and LABAC stands for the Liberian Association of Greater Charlotte. Thank you, I have to make sure I got it right.
Yes.
But we say LABAC for short. And so they had 3 weeks of enjoyment. Week 1, it was a basketball tournament, and it was honoring the graduates, the high school graduates in the Liberian community. Week 2 was the soccer tournament in the park, and then that Sunday, it was the IE and Barrow game, which was just amazing. Week 3 was our Liberian Independence Day ball, and then that Sunday was the church service / Thanksgiving service. Also, a week or 2 after all of those festivities, the Peppeh Dem was still going on. So P Square, if you guys know, P Square is an international recording artist. They are amazing. Kato and No Limit, I believe that's the group name. Sorry if I have it wrong. They brought them, right? But what was special about that is, although P Square is a Nigerian artist, Liberians were represented. So our very own Benji Cavalli, he performed. If y'all have not heard his music, check him out. And then Com Cruz, by Little Boo, he performed and just wowed all the ladies. And then our very own young, you know, the next generation, just think about the legacy, King Breezy, AKA Romeo is his name. He emceed a portion of the evening to introduce those artists. So it was just so much going on. Oh, excuse me, and I forgot. The Work, which is a production company led by a Liberian, Washington Kofi, and his partners, T. John, but they did all the production for that, and Kiss Daniel. So I wanted to, that was a lot of context, but I felt the need to go through that because a lot went on, and a lot of people just need to be recognized for what they're doing in the community outside of course, the obvious. So now, we're going to get into week 1 of the enjoyment and the celebration. Now, this wasn't an official LABAC event, but it was in partnership, and you know, everybody supports each other. So the Charlotte soccer family is a local Liberian soccer team led by 2 Liberians who are doing an amazing job, and I don't want to get into all of that, but I did do an interview with them, so if y'all interested, you can check that out for more information. But every year, 4th of July, they host the Veterans Soccer Tournament. And so with this tournament, they have various teams come from around the country. And so there are multiple Liberian teams in the tournament, and the 2 countries that I can remember, I don't want to name other countries that may not have been there, are Ethiopia and Cameroon. And so they play, it's a competition for there to be a winner. And of course, Charlotte Soccer Family won. Mm-hmm. Some said we cheated, but I don't think that's the case. Whatever. That's always the case when you don't win. But anyway, this event, it was just special. And there was a lot of unity going on. There was music, food vendors, all of that. So I was there, Jamal and Walla was there. I'm going to put the floor to either one of you who want to answer. Just talk about that experience, your experience from the Veterans Tournament. What did you observe? What did you like? What are your takeaways from that?
Chief, I'll let you go.
I mean, honestly, I like the fact that it's more traditional. To do this every year, it has formed part of the culture. Mm-hmm. And what I like about the guys is the inclusion, the level of inclusion. They always extend invitation to guys outside of the Charlotte area, yes, Liberians to come in and participate within the tournament. It creates more exposure. That's true. That way. So once they come here, we all can not just play soccer, but after playing soccer, we can put together ideas and stuff. Because I've seen a lot of times wherein guys carrying on small conversations and it have changed lives.
Right.
As far as jobs, they connect with other Liberians. Put out information, and you look like 2-3 other guys move out of state, mm-hmm, and stuff like that, and get a better job. But so it's just it's a wide range of serious activities that, mm-hmm, goes on. And Richard and Abu has been doing a great
awesome
job. Shout out to them. Working with the youth, mm-hmm, and then working with guys of their age and stuff like that. It's very amazing. So that veteran tournament, I think it was great, and the timing was right.
Right. I absolutely agree. Do you have anything to add?
Well, what I would piggyback and say, Johnny, you and myself, we grew up in Charlotte, and that was reminiscent of years prior. Mm-hmm. During the summertime, we look forward to soccer tournaments, right, in the park. You understand? It's just like from Sugar Creek Park and the Hornets Nest Park, all of the parks in Charlotte, Liberians have definitely been presence. Like we got our names embedded into the concrete. You understand? But it was so reminiscent of years prior, and it's a good feeling because times have definitely changed. But we get to see new generations growing up and see our legends come together and just bridge the gap like you are so eloquently doing here at A Socialite Production. So I had a really good time. Someone I have to make a mention of is Sis Helena, as she is one of the vendors. Man,
you talking about Peppeh Dem?
Come on, somebody. You understand? I know you didn't ask for all of this.
No, it's a part of it.
Her food, it just take you to a place. It's her fish, her plantain, and
everything.
Hey, Sister man, I'm calling you for a plate after this.
Seriously, and what's unique about Sis Helena? There are other cooks. I hate to start naming, but she's the premier cook for the Charlotte Soccer Family. Yes. That's why I'm highlighting her specifically. But she doesn't have a restaurant. She does it from her home. Mm-hmm. I don't think she delivers, let me not say that. But you can go there and pick up orders. But actually she does, because what she does, she cooks. She brings all the food out to the soccer field, and she, sells it. And when I tell you that it's fresh, it's warm, I don't even know how she keeps it warm. It is amazing. Yeah. So if you're interested in Liberian food and you don't want to go to a restaurant, look her up. I will have her information in the bio of this video. But thank you, Sis Helena, for making us fat little Africans. Every time I eat, I gotta go run. But no, thank you. I'm actually glad you did that. Thank you for that, Jamal. So that was week 1. And so, like I said, it wasn't the official for LABAC, but we were counted all together. But the official start for the LABAC activities was the week after that, or a week from that. I forgot the particular date. But the kickoff event was the welcome party, and then it was the basketball tournament. Mm-hmm. I wasn't here for that. I was out of town, but I wish, again, when when an event is good, because you don't ask anyone to promote it, but everybody was talking about it on social media.
Yeah.
Walla, talk about that basketball tournament and how you unified the generations, and especially you had people in the room that I hadn't seen like anywhere. Like, where you come from, right? How did you do that, and how was that feeling in the room?
Well, it was amazing. Firstly, when I had a vision for that tournament, I started to think, all kinds of ways. And what helped me is, BY is a DJ in the community, and when I first came to Charlotte, I connected very well with BY and William Ross and all the other guys, and Henry, all of them. So I thought about BY, and I gave him a call. He said, "Consider it done."
Yeah.
And I love another influential young guy in the entertainment area, Cruz, come down, and come down is my man from down the line. We went to elementary school together and everything. We sat in class. Yeah. Okay. So we went to school together. Isaac and Davis, senior member of
Is he
school.
an Arsenal fan? I think y'all watched the game.
We watched the game also, but he's a Liverpool fan. We defeated them 3-2.
They put that on record.
Right. So I reached out to him because he's connected with some of our friends from back home and Fonati and all of them. So I knew I was going to reach out to them. He reached out, and the guys were like, "Yeah, we'll come on."
That's
and
amazing.
the way it was organized was 2 young people and then 2
older
adults.
people.
So when I look at Uncle Giorgio, and then Pastor Alex, I saw them the vision. It was like, let's go ahead and get it done. So that's how that event turned out to be a success. With all the parties coming forth and just talking to their people, selling them the idea, and I think it was about time the city needed that.
It was something different for the Liberian community, and it speaks volumes to your influence. Because people will be like, "I ain't got time for that," and you have to pay to go. And I was wondering, I was like, "Oh, I hope people actually pay to go, because we don't do that." It was a great turnout, so I'm just that was awesome. Do you guys want to add anything?
All I will add is Walla presented the layout for the Liebeck's celebration for July 26th. And he was like, "Well, Jamal, you were the one who did the graphics last year, and we want to go with you." And when I looked at this lineup, I was like, this is different. This is different. Our Liberian people are a very competitive people. Like, we love sports. So to have a basketball tournament be introduced to our festivities was something fresh.
Very fresh.
And I appreciate the man. Like, I really had a great time collabing with Walla on the creative efforts to make sure that we did something that would be enjoyable for everybody.
And in addition to that, I'm glad you added that, because it was a fresh new experience. And Mr. Gentleman Brand brought a fresh new experience as it relates to the graphics. At first I was like, wait, who did?
It was very classic.
Yeah, I was like, I know. Well, I was like, who did this? Because this ain't normal. No offense to anybody, but who did this?
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, and he got stuff blended, and I'm like, okay. Yeah, so kudos to Jamal. Hand clap for Jamal.
But I wanted to add, right? I got there in time for the food at the basketball.
Oh, so you did make it?
Yeah, but it was already over. But I want to give you your props, because you was able to get our parents,
right,
and the youth to collaborate. That is huge, because sometimes it's like talking poor.
Yes.
But you was able to. I mean, it happened as a whole, as a community, but you was able to lead that, and you got the youth and our parents to collaborate. And
it's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sia. We're probably going to say that again and again, because he really was a good part of that. So within that same weekend, on that Sunday, they honored, the Liberian Association honored graduating high school students, of course, within the Liberian community. And so I actually want to start with Sia. I'm not sure if you were there or not, but I want to start with you. Just in you were.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm sorry. I wasn't there, so I don't know who was there. So then, yeah, I will start with you because specifically, I'm starting with Sia because she works with the youth at her church. What is the name of your church?
North Davidson.
North Davidson.
Yes.
And real quick, just want to call out, she shares, and that's why I love social media. Social media can be foolish, but it can be really beneficial if you use it in the right way. And so she often shares the work she's doing with the youth. Mm-hmm. And I just want to tell this story because it just touched me so much. I'll let you tell the story. But anyway, she works with the youth, and she's had impact with the youth, and she's bringing movement. So, of course, the high school graduation were for high school students, right? But I just want her to touch on her perspective at the event, and then too what you do with the youth in the Liberian community.
Right. So the program for graduating seniors, folks that graduated from college, folks that graduated with their master's, PhD.
Yeah,
I think we had a PhD candidate.
Yeah,
that was on Sunday. And for me, it was so amazing to see people that are doing so good get celebrated. Because, for me, I grew up in a home that you getting your food, your bread on your table, your bills paid, that's something to be happy about, right?
Yes.
A lot of us grew up like that, in household like that. But to see people that are excelling in what they're doing get celebrated in front of their parents. I saw parents hugging their kids, and as small as that sound, not too many people grew up with that, right? With experience that, just to hear your parents say, "I love you. You're doing good. You did great." So I love that the community was able to bring everybody together, and those that are doing great in whatever degree they graduated from, they got recognized. Also, to go back to the youth in my church, because there was a lot of kids there that Sunday, they were able to see that, right? It's representation is so important. And for me, whatever I'm doing in my life, I try to be a role model, because you never know who's watching, right? For one. And to talk about the story that you mentioned, on Sunday, I am the youth.
Don't do no quotation marks.
I'm the choir director for the kids at
she keeps
I usually downplay a lot of things. But I am the choir director for the youth, as well as the president for our young adult associate at church.
Yes.
But on Sunday, we usually have meetings every Sunday. If you're a Liberian, you know about our meetings. But we have meetings on Sunday, and during the meeting, there was the women's meeting, the young adult meeting. Most of us have kids. The kids' parents were there. Everybody were in their separated rooms. But kids keep coming and knocking the door like, hey, mom. And I remember I told my son, Dylan, please just wait outside for me, right? So after the meeting, we came outside, and they all ran to me. It's Miss Sia, we formed an organization. So I'm like, what organization?
That is so sweet.
The LIB Kids. Mind you.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's
the LIB Kids. I've never discussed it with them. Nobody told them to create nothing. They created their own organization. They had a president. They had a vice president. They had a secretary and a social media person. So yeah,
they are watching.
They are watching. That's why it's so important when the moves that we're making, the things that we're doing, we have to be very careful at how we do it, when we do it, because our kids and our generations, they are watching. And everything I do, it's because of that. Yeah. Because the work that I'm doing now, my son is watching.
Yes.
And if I instill positivity in him, or to remember his community, when he grows up, he's going to do the same for his kids, and then so forth.
And I think there's opportunity. I mean, this is not about that. We'll talk about it later. But there's opportunity in what they've created. Yeah, there's opportunity. But we'll touch back on that later.
John, before you go on, I wanted to say something to the event and what you just said. Seeing myself, we were both there, and they had a moment where the mothers of the graduates, they came and put their hands around all of the children and they prayed.
Oh.
And that was reminiscent to years prior where our mothers in the community would pray for the children. So I got, sentimental, because I remember my mom, your mom, coming together and praying. And then also I would say about those kids coming together to form that organization, a lot of what we're doing right now, we saw our parents coming together to make sure that, there was a community of representation for Liberians here in Charlotte. So what we're doing right now, the platform has already been made because we're standing on the shoulders of legends who have done it. We are just trying to push the legacy forward.
Right.
Yes.
No, right. And yeah, that's a good reminder, even with the prayer and the faith. So it's a dual purpose met. Walla, as it relates to your vision for what you thought the event was going to accomplish, did it hit the?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful, and everything, Sia and Jamal just spoke about. I mean, it was great. One thing, you see, education is a very, very good thing.
Yes.
And for me, what I really love there is to see how young the children were, and then they have bachelors and masters and everything. Because I give an example of myself. Most of my education is high school.
Okay.
I went to school. I had a ambition of going to college and graduating from college, and I had several other priorities that was on the table at the time. So when I graduated high school, like I said earlier on the program, I was involved with other, organizations and activities. And there's this educator in Liberia. She's well known and respected. She's like illustrious. Her name is Sister Mary Lauren Brown. If you heard about Sister, I used to be on a program with Sister called Reading Time on Radio Veritas, and she taught me how to speak in public, how to pronounce and stuff. Even though I was going to school, but she was like a main teacher for me. So most of my skills and everything, I got some of them from streets. So coming here to see that, it was very amazing. And one thing I want to touch on the speaker, the book, Antonia's son.
I wanted to say that.
Antonia and my mom, they grew up together. Got a history, but I mean, he was terrific.
Yes, he
was. It a young?
It was a young guy.
Liberian boys.
And it was very significant because to put a young man in front of a young group of people, that was very inspirational. And me seeing that, I was like, yes, this is the kind of thing we need to get into mostly. So they ain't going to bring a high degree person from outside to speak to the kids. They brought somebody wherein the kids can be able to blend with.
Wow.
So for me, that encourages me. Go back, like I said, I was in the University of Liberia, and I had to come to the States. So, and when I came, I had other priorities, so I didn't continue my education, for which I know I'm going to. But that right there, it just motivated me.
That is extremely motivating. And what I want to just add, so when you talk about education, definitely going to school, getting certifications, all of that is important, right? But I want to make it clear that even those that may not have had the opportunity or just haven't yet, it doesn't mean that you're not educating yourself in other ways, right? So I just want, I like to call that out because sometimes when it comes to education and degrees, people feel less than. People discredit what God is doing in their life as it relates to education and empowerment and whatever. So my goal is for everybody to be seen and everybody to know that you have a place. Your path looks different. Your path looks different. And you say you're going to do whatever, but you've been killing it, and you've only been here 5 years. Right? You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, like, I hear you, and it's very important, but I just want to call that out because we all are walking a different walk, but our walk is important and valuable. But that education is important, so I'm not saying that it's not.
It is, absolutely. Like I said, for me, I'm a young professional. I'm in the automotive industry. It has been a very good industry to me. I learned a whole lot there, and I pretty much chose the path that I'm going right now.
Gotcha.
And while I'm in there, I try to, get as much as I can.
Yep.
And to be able to advance myself. And there's one thing too in our community people have to understand is, how we pick up different skills.
Right.
Yes.
It don't have to be only college. Like you go to college, you get the degrees and everything.
Yeah.
You have to tap into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
You have to tap into
Yes.
business, engineering, other things. There are a lot of things we can skill ourselves into. And for me, I choose to skill myself into business, meaning with financing and the automotive industry. And it's been a great thing for me.
And not to, labor this point, but we were speaking, we've been having a lot of conversations, and which has just been so just awesome, amazing. But one particular Liberian, I don't think he went to college. It's not that he's not smart. He was crunching numbers in front of us and said, please don't quiz me on them. Don't just answer the math problems yourself. Don't answer these. I hear people do that. What's this? Answer it and then talk. But anyway, my point is he's very intelligent, and it's not that he couldn't go to school. It just wasn't for him. So he chose a different route, and he opened up, he opened up various businesses, and in addition to those businesses, he's providing opportunities to people back home with businesses.
Right.
And so he was like, you can keep your school, your book, even though he's smart and intelligent, but he's chose a different path. So just want to call out the fact that there's room for everybody. The goal is, what is God's vision? What is God telling you to do? Right.
And that's what the new narrative is all about. Being inclusive of everybody.
Bring it back.
And I will bring it back to say, a lot of us, we grow up in our Liberian tradition where our parents say school, 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 which they are absolutely right. And I will redefine what they're saying about schools is saying that make sure you are well versed in life so that you are able to be equipped with better decisions. It is a great thing to have the top degree as far as PhD and go on, but also I feel like what we as a community need is that variety, having people in different fields and different experience and different tools and resources so we can get to that new narrative of greatness and excellence.
It's definitely a new narrative going on, and not even in the Liberian community, outside, because entrepreneurship is spoken a lot, or just business mindset. There's a different way, there's a different path.
Yes.
I personally still would encourage everyone to go to school, get a degree, but maybe not right away. Maybe wait a year. Maybe get a certification instead. Get a path that is more aligned to where God is taking you versus where everybody's pushing you to go. So obviously this education piece is important because we still
stuck.
But I didn't think it needed to be rushed because it was amazing perspective. So is there anything else before we move on?
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm trying to keep myself composed because they are wowing me. Wowing me. I thought I was going to have to pull. Nah, they're pulling me. But anyway, thank you guys. Thank you guys for the perspective on that, especially education, because it's very important. So the next festivity was the Liberian Festival, the Liberian Independence Day Festival. And then that Sunday was the IE and Barrow soccer tournament. So those two events were split up. The festival is always filled with just excitement and anticipation. Because I believe Sia mentioned, or Jamal, that it's like a reunion. Everybody comes together. This year, it was a good crowd. I think last year it may have been larger, but we still had a good representation of people there. And I know in the past, people will literally come from out of town. Literally, people you haven't seen in years. And so this year, it had that same similar feel. You had vendors, you had food. Another resident DJ of the Liberian Community is PJ. I think his DJ name is DJ PJ. He's another good one. And what I love about our DJs, all of them come with their different flavor and swag, but they will rock the house. But he does a good job out there as well. And so with the festival, I want to start off with Sia. And the way the questions are going to go, each of them are going to be speaking about their experience, but it's going to come from a different angle. And so, Sia, starting with you, I want you to talk about your experience at the Liberian Festival. And pretty much why is two-part question.
Okay.
Why do you choose, right? Because we don't have to go to these celebrations. We have a lot of other stuff to do. Why do you choose to go out there every year? And why is the festival important, not only for us as Liberians, but for those who may not be aware of the community?
Right. So as you guys know, I grew up in Liberia, and I came here as a teenager. So back home, we just imagine what we do here times 20.
Wow.
So it's a huge celebration back home, and while I grew up home as well.
Yeah.
So during July 26th, one of the traditions is my 26th on you.
Yes.
Right? And whoever says my 26th on you first, you gotta give me a gift. So just having that experience back home, and then being here in Charlotte with such a big Liberian community, I look forward to that every year. Because during this time, during the festival, is when I get to come and be with my people.
Yes.
It's when I get to eat amazing food, right? It's when I get to dance.
Yeah.
I love to dance, so I look forward to that day. And those that are not Liberians, this is the time to invite your hood, as I call it. I like this. But to invite your friends, your colleagues to come and experience our culture.
Yeah.
So I look forward to it every year, and every year I'm still going to be, doing my thing and peppering them.
Peppering them. Let's get back to the thing, peppering them. You're right. This year I invited a few of my American friends or other from other nationalities, and they had a ball. They were even eating the pepper. So we were peppering them. So that was a good experience for them and good experience for all. And thank you for that, Sia, especially the bridge. We're going to go into that more later as well, but having a home away from home. And although it may not be the exact same, it's that same feeling and excitement. So thank you. So Jamal, of course you've been coming to the field since you were a baby, right? And just seeing the generation and the legacies and now the role you play, you usually play like the MC. So another part of Gentleman Brand is he's an MC. He's a very great speaker. I don't know what you call yourself, I'll let you talk about that. But specifically to the festival, you know how to keep the crowd engaged and hyped. And you also introduced a new thing, because usually in the past we didn't have like an MC. I mean, people would talk, but not in that formal way, right? And so the question I have for you is, talk about the importance of not only your voice being heard, but Liberian people, collectively and individually. Why should we own our voice and speak?
Wow, that is a wonderful question. Our voices hold value. And I think as a representation of such an illustrious culture, I can speak for a lot of our people who feel like we were not seen, or we had to shrink ourselves in order to be successful within the American culture. And the funny thing is, our history is so embedded and intertwined, so we should feel very seen. We should have a pride about our platform here in America and what we have done as far as Liberian people and African people here in the States. But my voice, I'm basically like the spokesperson. And in my home, what they will say is, this is what I sent you to school for. For you to be able to carry the torch and to be able to take care of the family.
Yeah.
So my Liberian community is my family. I call each and every last one of you guys cousins. Some of us are blood, some of us are not blood. But we are community cousins because, not saying there's a struggle we have, but we go through the same experiences together. We have lived in Charlotte and built such a great legacy. Coming from the July 26th perspective, especially for the festival, that's something that has been embedded within our routine for years. I'm talking about over 30 plus years. And Sugar Creek Park, one of the parks, have been like our stumbling grounds. So I know for a lot of our iconic or classic groups that are over the age of whatever their ages are, but like our parents' generation, when they possibly see me, I'm sure it's a warm feeling that, hey, this was the little baby that was in our hand. Now he's
leading.
He's leading. You understand? And it's a good feeling. I don't need any praise. I love the effort that all of us are doing at this point.
Right.
I guess our purpose is making sure that what our family and our generations before us did, we don't want it to die down.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the purpose of having our voices being heard.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. And Jamal made sure his voice was heard when he didn't even really speak, when he was a child. So I'm 10 years older than Jamal, right? I don't mind saying, Jamal, you're 31?
31.
I'm 41. I sometimes forget that I'm so much older than him because, like, we're siblings. But anyway, so we grew up within the Charlotte, again, my story is here in Charlotte, but within the Charlotte Liberian community, the weddings were the thing to go.
Yes.
And so we're like, where are you going this weekend to a wedding? Oh, and the whole community goes? Yes. Jamal was a little boy with little braids. His mama would put little braids in his hair. And he will command the dance floor. You have grown women. You have older cousins fighting to dance with Jamal. And here he go, dancing, and he'll turn this way, turn this way. But he was confident even at that age, even though he didn't really belong there, he made sure he belonged. He made sure you saw him and you heard him. So that's the message, right? And it's not in a cocky way, but it's, I have a place here. Yeah. And I'm learning. Let me stand here. So anyway, thank you for that, Jamal. These brought back memories. So Walla, as it relates to the festival, I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I get it correct. So a part of the national anthem, there's a phrase which just sticks out. And I don't know why it's sticking out so much more in this season, maybe because I didn't even know all the words in the past. But it says, in a union strong, success is sure. I got that quote right? Mm-hmm. Okay, make it up. So, like I said, this quote comes from the Liberia national anthem. As the planning chair, your job, essentially, is to unify the community. The purpose of July 26th is a part of unity, celebration, all that, but unity is what keeps ringing out. And so in Union Strong, success is sure. What are your thoughts about the festival, or I guess at that point of all of the celebrations? How did you feel? Do you feel like the mission was being accomplished? Did you feel like, man, we still got to do more? What are your thoughts there?
Firstly, I love to hear all of our national songs. It makes me feel more nationalistic. The wordings in there. And another song that I like, right before I answer the question, is the Lone Star Forever. So if you listen to the Lone Star Forever, the wordings in there, it just makes you feel more patriotic.
Yeah.
And you want to represent. So, and one thing, our entertainment industry is not a big one, and probably is not an exposed one, but it never disappoints during our festive season. Every year, trust me, and take it from me today, every year there's gonna be a stormy song.
Right.
And you use music to kind of send out a message.
Absolutely.
I think the year before COVID, they had Grateful.
Yes.
And then after that, they had,
Making It Lazy?
Yeah, Don't Make It Lazy.
Team Marcus Enjoyment.
Enjoyment.
And then this year they have We Outside.
We Outside.
And when we outside, we outside. So it really helped us. So using the songs and everything. But our culture is so unique.
Yes.
And our people. There are three things, Liberians really love. Liberians love sports, Liberians love politics, and Liberians love religion. So whenever you enter a Liberian gathering, it's kind of hard to, just deviate from those things. They love it.
Always go there.
When I was, asked by Mr. Edward, when he appointed me as the planning committee chairman, first and foremost, I was honored, among so many people to come out to me. And, because of that, I want to just go to work. And when I look at everything, I look at the people, I knew that I could bring the community together through sports. Because I've been going to the soccer field, practicing, even though I'm not the best, but I still try my best.
Everybody out there.
And then also too, when it comes to politics, for me, I'm a little bit half and half. I'm more with the elderly people, and I'm more with the young people. You know, most of my friends is like my dad and his friends. Everybody. So,
and I love that.
You know, that's my comfort zone too. So I'm on the other side, and I know I could use that political spectrum to kind of help me through all that too, because other activities, you know, they was gonna like it. So that from all those angles, and you know, there were a lot of dynamics and stuff that we used to make it work. And the committee was great. You know, like I said, I was fortunate to be on the committee with all of my mothers, and the Kevin, and the Ann, Miss Barbara, Miss Holga, and the Selma, and you know.
I hope you name all of them. You better name every last one of them.
Miss Gloria.
And Miss Gloria.
Okay.
I think I touched.
What about Miss Joyce? Was she on the committee?
No, Miss Joyce is.
I just want to make sure.
Basically, she was, because she's ex-official to all the committees. But you know, those mothers, man, you know, they said,
right.
Yeah, just go ahead, have the freedom. What you think, you know, you can do, and then it was just there to kind of the guidance and everything. So they were such, you know, it was amazing to work with them.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So we talked about the Liberian Festival. So that Sunday we had the IE and Barole tournament. And I'm going to let Mr. Walla talk about that because he's the historian as it relates to Liberia. But IE and Barole are two very popular Liberian teams or national teams. I don't know if it's specific to Liberia or not, but I'll let him tell that story. But it brings so much hype and competition. I remember before when I was a child, I didn't really understand. I was like, what are they talking about? People just screaming, running. But it really adds to the hype. But if I will be honest, this particular event out of the whole month was my absolute favorite. I could have cried on that field because when you talk about unity, you had various generations, and then you saw all of our, we call them community uncles, right? Who used to be the ones like us now, but they're sitting back and they're being honored as legends. And just the energy and the food and then the celebration after the game, I mean, it was just amazing. So if you want to first just talk about the purpose of this tournament, the history, and also giving a shout out to the Charlotte soccer family because they played in it and helped to organize that as well. But how did the whole experience make you feel?
It made me feel good at the time. You know, IE and Barrow is a traditional club in Liberia, and all of our parents, man, they grew up watching IE and Barrow because it's just from way down, and you know they love soccer. We call it football back in Liberia. But my mom, she was an IE fan, and then my dad, you know, he was a Barrow fan. But my dad was over here in the States, and my mom was there, so most of the way I leaned towards was, you know, through my mom. So I consider myself an IE fan. And what I did when I came, a lot of the veterans who play for those clubs, they're here in Charlotte, and we had a series of conversations. And one thing, you know, for me, I'm very observant if I'm in a certain area. And all of those conversations we had, the history, you know, that they gave me everything. They never made any mention about being honored one day, like a ceremony or so for them. So when I look into that, you know, it was something I was probably going to expect from the current president, you know, since he was a soccer star, he was at the zenith of soccer. George Weah, as far as in Liberia, you know, I thought he was going to, you know, come up and call all of his old friends and the ones before him, you know, so that he could have a little program, make them feel a little special and stuff like that. But there's nothing has been done. So when I look,
politics.
He trying to squeeze that in there.
It's not
we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
Not anything against him.
No, I get it. We're not gonna go there.
It's all related.
We're not going there.
Specifically to the topic, you know. But
I got it.
You know, when I spoke to Uncle Matthew Brown, Uncle Walkwell, Uncle Muhammad, and the rest of them, Mr. Roland Brown, all of them. And, you know, I saw the need to do so. And what really touched me was that Mr. Boogie Wallet made a statement.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he's now in his 70s.
Boogie is 70.
And he been playing soccer since he was a teenager. He played for St. Joseph Warriors. And this was the first time in his life. That was honor, you know, and Uncle Walkwell to the same way.
Yes. Oh, he cried. Did you see him?
Yeah, he was emotional, and I think it was just a good thing. And I want to thank the administration for, you know, honoring such a event.
I guess I'll say I want to thank you because you. Seriously, that was a game changer.
It was.
That was a game changer, and I'm not going to stop there. I think it's important because what's bothering me, and I don't even know why I'm getting emotional, but what's bothering me as we progress in time is everybody is against each other. When you talk about legacy, the younger generation thinks they got it better. The older generation thinks they, you know, have it better, have it figured out. It's like we're having a hard time meeting in the middle. And even if, because I know the younger generation, which I call us the Joshua generation, God has given us fresh, bold ideas to do it different and to move with confidence. So yeah, it's about going to school, but it's like, or maybe not, I'm doing it this way. I'm going to be even more successful than going this path. But the mindset of the older generation is different. But at the end of the day, they have wisdom that we need.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we have a fresh, innovative creativity that they need. But I think to humble ourselves and pay respect, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Right? So at the end of the day, regardless of the differences, let's honor the legends.
Yes.
Honor the legends. Make them feel seen. Like imagine, we're still young, but imagine when we get older and we feel like we're just being pushed to the side and nobody's seeing us.
Yeah.
You know? And so like when I look at my aunties and stuff, and I'm not gonna name names, but they're still going hard with whatever things in the community. And I'm like, that's it. You had your time, like just sit and let somebody else do it. But no, because it's like it's taking away their dignity. Right? So we have to understand that part too. Look at Auntie Cat. Auntie Cat will work, she could work anybody. Yes. So I'm sorry, I had to call that out. So you doing that was key. And I really think it's something we should incorporate every year, right? And not just for soccer players, but the Omas. Like, I can go on and on.
It's coming.
But
it's coming.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Let me just add to the IE Environment game. You know, some of our parents been here for years and years, and they haven't visited back home.
Right.
So just being able to experience that,
right,
brought so much memories.
Right.
Especially for me, because I grew up on IE Environment. And like you said, that competition was thick.
Oh, they were.
Oh yeah, it's thick back home. So Mom, I remember at the park, my mom and her friends, they had their cheers, their food, and just relaxing. It took me back home. Yeah. That's how people used to be. It was just a great moment to come together, and the fact that you was able to, you know, bring that experience out to Charlotte.
That was game changer.
Yes, it really was.
And what's interesting, oh, you're going to say something? Okay, what's interesting, and we'll wrap this part of it up. We got a couple of more to go through, but people were chill. Yeah, people was talking junk. But when the Mighty Baroque, right? That's the one? When they won, and I remember everybody was going crazy. All right, so we can go on and on with all of these topics. I don't know how long this is going to be, but this is awesome. I'm having a good time. Hopefully you all are too. And so for the last week of enjoyment was the Labatt Ball, the Independence Day celebration. And what was special about this as well is we were able to support our own. So we actually have, it's not a Liberian hall, but if it's owned by Liberians, that's what we consider it as, right? So Project 1610 is a hall that is owned by Miss D. Lowland. She and her husband manage that. And what's also special about that is she's also a very good caterer. So not only does she has this space for us, she has food for us. back in the day, when it was a wedding or anything, all of the aunties, everybody was assigned something. They bring in food, but it's a professional catering service. And I believe she may even decorate, or maybe she has a vendor for that. But so we had that, the ball there to support our own. Of course, we're going back to BY, DJ BZ, he was playing. We had Mr. Gentleman Brand himself MCing, which was nice to see. Again, you talk about legacy. He was playing a role with all of, the elders. I'm saying elders, not that everybody's old, you know what I mean? Like, he was there owning that space. And then, of course, you have Mr. Richardson, who organized it again, once again. And so I want to talk about that experience, starting with you, Jamal, actually, just to add a little point to it, because there is one part as it relates to the ball that was different from the other events.
What's up?
Right? Representation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was heavy, like the older generation, and I'll probably even just say 5% of our generation. And it was very disappointing from that aspect, but the ball itself was very successful. But for me, the unity piece is what I measure for success, just like with all the other events. I forgot to highlight Jamal's sister, Dejanay, because she's, 17?
Yes.
17-year-old. So that was representation of the youth, of course, but she was a commentator as well. Mm-hmm. She also has her own business.
Yeah.
And she started her business at 13, 14?
11.
Oh, wow. So she was paired with Sis Marianne,
yes,
who represents the older generation. So again, we speak about vision. Walla did a great job in placement. He did a great job in being inclusive. So the representation in the room is not any barren to him or anyone else, but it was an observation, right? And so I want to make sure I talk about that in addition to the success of the event. So go ahead, Jamal.
Wow, that's a loaded experience.
It was loaded, yes, loaded.
But for our July 26th, the Liberian Ball is the fancy, the dance, and a celebration that a lot of our parents look forward to. Mm-hmm. Shoot, I look forward to it because anytime I can put on good clothes and dance, it's always a good time for me. But however, these years in the past, from last year and now this year, I've had the opportunity to be the moderator of ceremony, MC for the ball. Mm-hmm. And funny thing, a lot of people don't know, I always say it, that's my running joke, that my Liberian community is going to send me to BET.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually like a childhood dream of mine. But I want to piggyback on your statement about having a representation of everyone. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
In my speech, and I don't know if you remember.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, in my speech, I didn't write that speech down, but I had a prayer partner, she's here, who gave me insight, or she presented a space where God was able to come in and lead what I needed to say.
Yes.
And just like how you made mention that we celebrated our veterans during the I Am Barrow game, and we are the Joshua generation. We can't be the Joshua generation without our parents and our elders. Mm-hmm. And we say elders out of respect.
Yeah.
The night before the festival, Walla, myself, and your sister Tanya had a very untelevised conversation with a lot of uncles and veterans who were being honored.
And you went to the forum, right?
Yes, the forum.
I think it's important to call that out, yes.
And that was my first time being in their space. Mm-hmm. I know I'm celebrated by my uncles, but I had to take a different tone with them.
Please.
I had to take a different tone with them to tell them how serious we need your involvement in order for this agenda to go forward. Mm-hmm. Because we can beat the drum and we can say, oh, here's the new innovation, here's the new concept. If we don't have your participation 100%, not just half.
Yeah.
If we do not have your participation, none of this is going to be successful.
Right.
That ended up turning into the same speech in front of the ball attendees. Mm-hmm. And You know, you have to use different mechanisms to touch into people's mindset, because a lot of people, their time span of hearing what you have to say is not going to be long, especially when they want to get to the enjoyment part of a celebration. So while I was able to capture our audience attention, I made mention, I said, if you guys take a look within yourselves, can you count on your hand how many people under the age of 20 is sitting in the presence of us? Here it is, we honored our future who graduated from high school and college. How come I don't see that same representation of them here? And there's conversations that we will have to have, and like you said in the beginning of this forum, we're not perfect, but we're making our ways to a better day when it comes to our Liberian community and unity. And my vision is to make sure that the representation of all aspects are being seen. Just like how we are the Joshua generation today, we're not, in a few years, there's going to be another Joshua generation. And the little pinkies is what we call them, picking. Exactly. Our little nephews and our little cousins and baby cousins that we see growing up in the community, that is our attention. Our future is invested into the next generation. Because without them, that's the only way the agenda is going to be going forward.
You are right.
But it's still a beautiful time to celebrate and culminate all of the festivities with the ball. I even had the pleasure of relinquishing the mic. And another thing, just like how you were talking about the aunties, sometimes it's like a power struggle. Guess what? At the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing when there's different aspects or different people that can do the same exact thing. That's the beauty of being unique and having that kind of tool and resources. So my fellow brother in this MC game, and his name, y'all help me out.
Romeo.
Brother Romeo.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got on the mic and he was able to MC for a little bit. And I love that. You understand? This is someone who is trying to make a name for himself as well. But we have to present those type of opportunities.
And you also gave homage to the older generation.
I did.
You gave the mic to my dad to gain control of the crowd. And then he kind of ran with it. I was like, second life. But that was a nice gesture, right? You were trying to be inclusive. So, like I said, the ball was awesome. Like, we still had a good time. We danced. We made it do what it do. We don't have to be with our crowd to enjoy. But again, I just think the importance of everyone being in the room is what makes it even more of a success. And so while as it relates to you and leading, again, when you're in leadership, it can be challenging because you have a vision and you see something a certain way and you're hoping it'll be executed. Sometimes it hits on point, sometimes not so much. But at the end of the day, when you look at everything holistically, it's still an A for me. But just what was your overall perspective of the ball?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. You know, just like Jamal said, he went to the forum there the night before, and you know, we had a great conversation. And you know, for me as a leader, regardless, I always gonna expect some challenges.
Of course.
You know, and I'm very self-restrained, but I rely on consultations and seek many advices. So, you know, let me just thank Jamal and Sia, you know, from the bottom of my heart, because they really helped with the publicity.
I forgot to
you know, they did a great job, and that alone, you know, created a lot of awareness.
It
People
did.
go there.
Yes.
And our sister Tanya was always, you know, in the background. I consulted her on many things. So it's the people that make the event successful.
You're right.
Yes.
You know, it had so many parts. It was done holistically. So based on their participation and involvement and what it brings to the table, it created a whole nother atmosphere that was positive.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm very bold when it comes to these public discourse as to how, you know, things are or was supposed to be coordinator. I think when it comes to the ball, we dropped the balls there a little bit, you know, as far as, you know, the pricing and everything, because in our community we have to be cognizant of the people we deal with, you know, and if we want to have everyone involved, we have to make it a little bit moderate and affordable.
Right.
So, you know, we have been discussing, you know, some of the things that took place at the ball in executive meetings and stuff like that, but I'm not going to jump the guns.
Of course, you
in
don't
front
want
of the
to.
administration. They're going to have their own briefings and they're going to make their own statements, and they're going to, you know, reevaluate and, you know, make it more and more, you know, involving next year.
Yeah.
So we need to, you know, have our generations, our, you know, young people participate in all these things.
Yes.
So I can assure you on this platform that, you know, we'll work out all the modalities to make sure that they are deeply involved next year, and there will be a lot of young representation on the ball.
And even seeking, like, looking for, and again, I don't know what you guys discussed, so you don't have to go into that, but just thinking about what your dad did, Mr. Wallow Richardson Sr., he sponsored like several senior tickets, right?
He bought all of them for the seniors.
Yeah, he literally racked it all up. And so there are a lot of people in the community who do have it, right? And so it's just putting that out there. Would you be willing to sponsor 10 kids, or not kids, because it can't be kids, but, you know, 10 young adults or 10 seniors or whatever. So, but that was him. You come from good stock, because that was leadership right there.
I just want to touch a little bit on some of the possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, I spoke with Ben Sanvey, you know, prior to that, and the reason for which, you know, we had a conversation was because we have invited some political figures, you know, to the event, and I wanted those individuals to align themselves with someone who have experience in their area, so that they can have a conversation.
Gotcha.
So Ben, you know, he was timely, and I want to thank him, you know, publicly for honoring the invitation. He sat down with we invited the representative from Orangeburg, South Carolina, Representative Jerry Govan. He was the guest speaker, and then we had Pastor Butler, Dr. Butler, Nevin Butler. He was the keynote speaker, and it was successful. And I want to thank here publicly the Senator for North Carolina, Senator George Waddell, you know, for showing up as a member of the Minority Coalition to honor and celebrate our independence with us. And I also want to thank the legislative aides of Representative Govan that was at the ball for celebrating with us too. I think, you know, their involvement, you know, brought a lot of spice to the occasion. And they are working with us behind the scenes, you know, in making sure that what we're trying to accomplish as a community to drive the community to a sustainable growth and development, that we meet that need.
Absolutely, and thank you for that, because I forgot about those representatives that were there. You know, my job as a commentator, I don't even know what to call myself, as a storyteller, is to tell all aspects of the story, right? So I don't want this to come off as me being negative, but I've been positive the whole time. And I don't even see it as negative, it's opportunities, right? And so I kind of want to piggyback real quick in reference to what we were speaking about with the high school, honoring the high school graduates and college graduates. Of course I wasn't there, but you guys mentioned whomever spoke. It was somebody that was from the community, and they were young, so they could identify with them. It was different, right? Normally, well, the last two events I've been, it's been either the president or vice president or someone older speaking. And I'm not saying that anything is wrong with that, but it didn't resonate with them, right? And so I don't know if there's opportunity. Again, don't have to say anything, and I know is in the works, but just for the sake of conversation, because what I'm saying is just not necessarily my opinion. It's a collective of conversations, a collection of conversations that I've had, but perhaps even get people from in the community in a mix, older generation, younger generation, but that can resonate and tell the story. And so even when you have like speakers that are featured at events, they can bring out a crowd. right? So like what you did for the basketball tournament where you had different representations, that's why the room looked different, right? And just other situations. So I'm just providing that feedback because again, people are watching. Absolutely. And if I don't be honest, I will get sidelined, right?
No, that's correct.
So I had to say that. But ultimately, awesome job. So I'm not even sitting here, I wouldn't even consider that negative. That's just opportunity and feedback. Jamal, you had something before we go on?
Well, representation and being seen, one thing I would love to see, and it's just a vision for the future. We are such a very inviting community of people. And in years prior, even up to this date, when we want to have someone be a guest speaker, we will invite someone who is not born into the culture. So some certain talk pieces they're not able to catch. But going forward, like you said, Mr. Ben, I'm just calling his name out. I don't see a problem with him being the guest speaker at our ball. You understand? And
no pressure.
Ain't no pressure, but I will be calling you because I got your phone number, boss man. I'm just saying. But
no, I mean you're making a good point.
I want to celebrate us. Just like the president. Patrick Lumumba of Congo, that's one thing he stressed, and that's why he's now on this earth right now, is pan-nationalism, being able to celebrate or look within our own tools and resources to be able to put ourselves on the platform of where we need to be.
Yeah.
So that's what the vision is for me.
And real quick, my sister Tanya always stressed that to me, right? Because I'm bridging the gap. So I'm going outside our community as well. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong.
But let's not forget, there's a lot of resources, there are a lot of opportunities, there are a lot of just great people that you can tap into your own community before you think we always have to go outside. Sia, I know you were out of town, but do you have anything to add?
I was, but in addition to what everyone said, I will say this, little steps. We are taking little steps. Because if I could go back 5 years, I wasn't really a part of the Liberian Association.
You're right.
I wasn't as vocal as I am.
You are right.
So with everything that we did these past 2 years, there is still growth.
Absolutely.
We are still evolving.
You're right.
Right? And if we continue to do what we are doing,
there's
other youth or other young adults that are watching. Right. So I want to encourage all those that are watching, to be a part of the community. It's so much that you can bring. It's so much that we can share with those that are watching us.
Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right.
See, it's so interesting hearing that come from you, as your plight to what you have done for our community within these last couple of years holds weight. You basically, and I know it's just between us right now, it's on, being viewed by other people here at a later date, but you represent us on a platform at a very graceful level. And we tell you, thank you. We haven't given you your flowers or your round of applause, but let's get to it. Because literally, she played a very instrumental point and element within these last 2 years, so thank you.
In the promotion, her voice, she made sure her voice was heard, even though she's growing even more into that role as well of speaking. Yes. So thank you for that, Jamal.
Thank you, Sia.
Thank you guys for that. And like Sia said, and everyone pretty much are alluding to, get involved in your community. And whether that's you joining the association, whether you're not, you can still be involved in the community, right? It's not left to just one person. Everybody has opportunity to make a difference. And so lastly, because this is probably gonna be a 3-hour interview, the last but not least was the worship and praise service. So like Jamal said at the beginning, as it relates to our moms and aunties, we grew up on a foundation of prayer. So as a first generation Liberian American, yes, I have the experience in the American church. So we went to, Black American church, but we also were heavily rooted and grounded within the Liberian faith. Worshiping the same God, right? It's just the styles are different. And it's just a beautiful worship experience when you're worshiping, not only with Liberian culture, but the African culture. Because we're a very when I say dramatic in a good way, like nobody, no rules, you just worship, you go in. But I like it because it's coming from a deep place, right? And when I always talk about the people back home, so we all are Liberians, but we represent different sides of the story or perspectives. There's a different level of grit, of strength, of not so much power like, you know, we have more power than others, but it's just a different level of energy that comes when you go to the African worship. The worship / Thanksgiving service was at North Davidson United Methodist Congregation. This is a Liberian church in the community where many gather. Actually, it's Sia's church. It's under the leadership of Pastor Emmanuel Morris and his beautiful wife, Sis Marilyn Morris. And it's always a good time when we gather there because, again, the community is coming together and we're worshiping God and thanking him for everything that he's done. And so the takeaway from that is faith. We stand on a strong foundation of faith. Faith is important to our culture. Faith is important to the vision. Faith is important to the legacy. Because if we don't have faith to stand on, then what are we doing? You know, who's holding us? Who's backing us? Who's giving us the vision to even see how to move forward? The strategy to know how to bring the community together in unique and fresh ways. So does anyone want to just Sia, I guess? Yeah, because it is your church. What are your perspective on faith?
On faith. Like my mom always say, with all things give thanks.
All things.
So whenever we have the celebration for the independence, the last celebration is the praise and worship or the worship celebration, which was held at my church. But faith is important to me and to Liberians. We've been through so much as a group of people. Most of us that grew up back home, we were a part of the Civil War in Liberia. We went through that. And nobody but God got us through that. You know, it's so many trauma that came with what we went through in Liberia, and being able to come to this country, raise kids, see your kids being successful, being able to hug your family members, and even those who didn't grow up in Liberia. You experience what we went through because your family members probably called you, letting you know about the hardship and so many things they went through. So as Liberians, as a group of people, we went through all of that, and we can still now celebrate. Right? So we have every reason to thank God.
Absolutely.
Every reason to have faith and trust in him.
Absolutely.
So
And so real quick, I think we need to give a round of applause to G.O.D. Thank you, Lord. I am so serious. Thank you, Lord. Because for our parents to survive war and just struggle and hardship, for my parents to come when they were younger, leaving their family back home, having to support their family, raising a family, and we were actually going to move back to Liberia right when the war started. Thankfully, we didn't, right? But it's hard to say thankfully we didn't, and we didn't get to experience that because so many of our family members did. But at the end of the day, I always say God kept all of us alive for a reason. And so whatever that vision is within for Liberia, for yourself, for whatever you can see past the trees. Like I had a conversation with my cousin last week. So what do you see past the trees? What do you see past the trees? You have to have vision to be able to see past the trees. And you have to have faith and trust God to fulfill that vision. So we are running out of time. I'm about to go on and on, but does anyone else have anything to cover before we close on faith?
No, all we can say is God, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Like my mom used to say. I speak a little bit. Not quite.
God works in a mysterious way.
Yes, he does.
So
yes, he does.
You have to be thankful for everything.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So the next set of questions I wanted to ask, Sia pretty much covered that, which I'm glad because it went well with that segment, but it was just about the experience in Liberia. So both you and Wala, you're from Liberia. We're speaking from the lens of Liberian Americans growing up in the culture, but y'all have the best of both worlds from your perspective. So Sia, you already touched on that. Wala, do you have anything you want to touch on real quick as it relates to your Peppeh Dem Summer in Liberia?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I grew up in community that have people from all walks of life.
Yes.
And I was always out there hanging out with families from different tribal backgrounds. You know, so it helped me in so many ways. You know, with my growth.
Yeah.
So,
it shows.
You know, I started up playing soccer, playing basketball, and everything. Sometimes rapping. You know, I don't really know how to, but it's just at the time where I don't really know how to rap at the team.
Oh, you beat my
I was always with the guys like anything I thought they could community, you know, have fun. I was involved, and you know at that bit of bad habits when I started drinking alcohol at the time, and all that.
I won't tell
keep
my
it real.
secrets. You can tell yours. I won't tell mine.
Keep it real. But one thing, like we just touched on the Bible and everything, I believe there's no saint with our past.
Come on.
And there's no sinner with our future.
Yes.
So for me, I'm not a perfect guy.
You better preach.
Yeah, I know, right? You know, I'm not perfect. I have my own faults.
Nobody
But yeah, those are some of the struggles we have to deal with. Some of those things personally, but you never know until it happens. But I'm not, you know, bad person. I love everything that happened around me, and what happened with my growth in Liberia, I think is a good thing because it exposed me to a lot of things.
And you know, we have to change the narrative, not only within the Liberian community, but just in general as it relates to faith. Because he just preached a sermon in one sentence.
He sure did.
We think it's a one cookie cutter way to spread the message of the gospel, to have impact. Like there are people that he can empower that a pastor can't.
Yeah.
There's people that we all have influence over and on that maybe one or the other does not. So when we talk about faith, we really need to rebrand what does faith means and what is God calling us to do in our individual. So I just wanted to put that part out there as it relates to faith holistically, but especially within our culture, because there's a lot of opportunity. Anything else before I move on?
Nope.
Jamal. Go ahead, Jamal, make it quick.
No, all I will say, no, seriously, all I will say is faith is what has gotten us here thus far.
Absolutely.
And Lord knows that faith was definitely relied on during this July 26th process. Father God, we have come to Jesus moments every week, and I'm saying that in a humorous way, but we tell God thank you for keeping us. We tell God thank you for making this Peppeh Dem Summer such a very successful celebration. And when I say a successful, because being braggadocious and giving yourself a pat on the back feels good, but when people outside of your community, I have a Congolese friend, I'm going to say this. He made mention, he said, you know what? Liberian people can come together. How come our community, and he had his griefs, but to hear someone of a different culture recognize us, regardless of how many times I thought I was going to pull my hair out, that tells us that God is within what we're doing.
Yes.
And there's a bigger picture of purpose of where we're going.
Yes. No, I like how you stopped yourself, but you wanted to keep going.
I did.
But no, he's right. He is right. And before we close, you know, I don't even care. I'm feeling the spirit of Mildred Peppeh, and I know you guys know this song. If you don't, just join in, especially these two that are off camera. We talk about faith in a Liberian prayer group. We used to pick at our parents because they were dramatic, singing songs. So as kids, we would sing it, but we weren't feeling it. We were singing it. Now that we are adults, we thank you, oh, Papa. 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 There is no one like you, oh, Papa. We thank you, oh, Papa. There's no one like you, oh, Papa. Can sit here for another 2 hours. Like, this has been so enjoyable, and I truly thank y'all. I was praying today. I said, God, let it just be a vibe. Let it be a conversation that we have off camera. These are the conversations that we have off camera. We're not doing this for the lights. So guys, thank you. Thank you. So I have a category to close called next steps. What are the next steps? These conversations aren't to entertain. This is to empower, to influence. It's to help you to see beyond the trees. It's for us to take our rightful place. No matter if you're Liberian or not, you know, this is just our story. What is God calling you to do? We're Liberians, we're gonna rep our set. I'm also American, a Black American, I'm gonna rep my set. I'm also a woman of faith, I'm gonna rep my set. Whatever your set is, stand for something and take on a leadership role. Don't be afraid to walk into a room of established leaders and older generation and lay out what you want. God is waiting on us to solve problems that are sitting there and nobody is touching. But the president of the Liberian Association of Greater Charlotte is no other than President Lucian Edwards Sr. I actually interviewed him during Peppeh Dem Summer, the July 26th festivities. It was a short interview, but I look forward to speaking to him again. Now, I know when it comes to the Liberian community, there are a lot of, opinions. There are a lot of, opinions. But at the end of the day, I want to give our president a round of applause. Seriously, because the work that he has done, the pressure that he's come against, the stones that have been thrown, he stands, and he stands with respect. He stands humble. I've seen people just, and he still stands in a humble, respectful position. That's a leader. Yes. So regardless of your opinion of what he's doing, what he's not doing, what should be done, that's a leader. So he needs his flowers. So thank you for allowing, Wallet to do, because he didn't even have to do that either. So I just want to say thank you. I know the motto that President Edwards gave, I don't know if this is this year, last year, a combination, but one is moving full speed ahead. I think that was last year. This year is forward, ever, backwards, never. Let's say it together to make him proud. You ready? Forward, ever, backwards, never. So thank you for that. And, the question, not for anyone necessarily to answer, but for you guys to ponder on as takeaways, is how can we continue to promote and celebrate our culture outside of July 26th? Because we're Liberians 24/7, not just in July, right? How can we continue to celebrate our culture? How can we continue to tell our stories on and off camera? How can we continue to love each other and our people and our culture? How can we continue to empower? How can we continue to heal or start being intentional about healing and reconciliation and unity and bridging the gap inside and outside of our community? So those are takeaways. I would love to get into that, but we are already far past time. As my mom always said, time is far spent. But, as far as me personally, a Social Life Production is going to continue telling stories on and off. I'm more than just a production company and storytelling media. I do a lot of other things on the business side, but it all still has the same vision of seeing people and hearing people and allowing people a platform to tell their story in an authentic way. So whether you're a Liberian-born American, whether you are American-born Liberian, whether you are a Liberian-born Liberian, whether you are an American-born Liberian, am I saying that right? Yes. We are all Liberians. Absolutely. And so we are going to continue to move forward together. We're going to continue to love each other. And most importantly, we're going to continue to pray and stand on faith. Yes. And so before I officially close, are there any quick last words?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is good. And thank you all for tuning in. I look forward to more conversations with y'all because this is a whole vibe.
We gotta do it.
This is a whole vibe.
And let's just look at everyone's outfit.
Please get into
Yes. They understood the assignment. Give us a round of applause for the outfit. This wasn't planned. I mean, we said we're gonna wear the new narrative.
Yes.
So thank you guys. Thank you guys. So that's it. Tune in to a Social Life Production. Tune in to Labatt. Tune in to Palm Butter, to Gentleman Brand. I don't know if Walla wants to be promoted, but I'm going to promote him anyway. I'm going to share all of our information. And we just thank you.
But hold on now, you're going to have to close us out with a prayer.
Oh. Well, you know, I opened us up with a prayer, so who else want to close out with a prayer? I think Miss Palm Butter need to close us out with a prayer. Come on, let's close us out with a prayer.
Father God, we just want to thank you. We want to thank
God.
you for what you have done. We want to thank you for what you are doing.
Thank you,
we
Jesus.
want to thank you for the table that you have prepared for us. And we want to thank you for each and every one in here for taking a seat at the table that you have prepared.
Yes.
We want to thank you for the vision that you have given Jonette.
Thank you,
We want to
Jesus.
thank you for the purpose of each and every one in this room,
Yes,
God.
God.
You are amazing. We thank you for everything you have done and will continue to do. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen.